One of the things that I think is really critical to understand about the LSAT, and particularly the reading comprehension section, is that this is a way of preparing yourself to perform better in law school. This isn't simply a hurdle that you have to jump through in order to get to law school, but learning how to do the reading comprehension well actually will make you perform better in law school. It will give you the skill set that are required. And I want to talk about a couple of the points that are important here. First off, in law school, a lot of people find, particularly their first year, they feel like they just don't have enough time to get through all of the reading. And so learning to do the reading comprehension actually prepares you for law school because it helps train you to be able to read much more quickly than you would normally have done. Almost everybody who starts taking the LSAT finds that in order to get the questions correct, they have to read more slowly than the 35-minute window. And so by training you to read faster while still maintaining that precision, the LSAT is actually helping you do better in law school. Second, you also have to process really difficult sentences and content. And this, too, is preparation for law school. Much of what you're going to be reading is legal decisions. And those aren't always written in terms of the most clear and readable sentences. They're judges, and they're mainly writing to other judges. And so the content and the sentence structure can tend to be A, a little stilted, and B, very, very dense. They'll use run-on sentences, a lot of subordinate clauses, and so a lot of the content on the LSAT, if you find it to be difficult, that's simply training you for what you're going to have to read in law school. Next, you have to read with precision. As almost everybody who's familiar with the LSAT knows, sometimes the difference between the correct answer and the incorrect answers boils down to one word. And that same thing can happen sometimes with your law school reading. You're going to have to read these long decisions that sometimes are going to hinge on one or two words or phrases. And so the LSAT is teaching you how to really read but get a lot more out of a particular passage than you were normally used to in any other sort of reading situation. Next, skimming really isn't going to be enough. And this is one of the points where I think a lot of people get bad advice on the LSAT. A lot of people are taught, well, just skim the passage and then go back for the details. While that's helpful in the short term for some people, it doesn't really prep you to do well in law school. Learning how to really process the content of the cases in a quick manner is going to be a lot more helpful than learning how to skim. You simply can't skim and really grasp the key concepts of a typical case, and so you want to make sure that you're reading carefully. One of the best ways to do this is by periodic restatements. So restating what it is you're reading just quickly in your mind shows that you're processing it, and it's going to help you store that information better so that then you're able to participate a lot more fully in the discussions in class, because you'll read for the class and then it's going to be a discussion largely during class itself, and this is the Socratic method that everybody talks about in the law school. Next, these periodic summaries also help keep you on track. It's easy to lose track of the bigger picture, and so on the LSAT, our summaries help us keep track of what's happening in terms of main idea, author's organization, things like that. Those same sorts of periodic summaries as you're reading in law school are also going to be helpful to keep track of the overall flow of the argument that's being presented in that decision. And so as you're reading these legal decisions, it is reflecting some of the same sorts of patterns that you saw on the LSAT. And finally, highlighting might help in moderation, and I have to kind of highlight this. A lot of times people have a tendency to just highlight nearly everything. And if you're going to be using highlighting on the LSAT, you do want to use it in moderation. You want to just highlight certain things, maybe things that are the author's main point or things that are critical things within the text. And the same thing is true in law school. You don't want to be highlighting 20 to 30% of the stuff that you're going to be reading. You want to be maybe at a 5 to 10% ratio. And so really highlighting might help, but only do it in moderation. It's just to help you key in on what those key ideas are. So those are some of the ways that properly reading on the reading comprehension can help prepare you for law school success. So as you're practicing, recognize that you're really just making it easier for you to do better down the road in law school.